This is the story of a husband who kept paying rent on an empty apartment for 26 years. Not because he could not let go of the past, but because he believed the past still held evidence. He was waiting for science to become strong enough to speak for his wife. And when it finally did, the truth was closer than anyone imagined. For 26 years, one apartment in Nagoya, Japan remained almost frozen in time. The family had moved out, the child who once lived there grew up, but month after month, year after year, the rent was still paid.
Not because anyone wanted to live there, but because inside that apartment were bloodstains, footprints, and traces of a killer who had vanished in 1999. A husband believed that one day science would catch up to grief, and 26 years later, it did.
On November 13, 1999, Namiko Takaba was at work. At home, his wife, 32-year-old Namiko Takaba, was with their 2-year-old son Kohi. They were an ordinarily young family living in Nishi Ward-san, Nagoya.
There was no public scandal, no known criminal connection, no obvious reason why anyone would want Namiko dead. But that afternoon, something happened inside their apartment. A visitor entered the home, and before the day was over, Namiko Takaba was lying dead near the entrance. She had been stabbed multiple times, including wounds to the neck. Her young son was found nearby, unharmed. From the beginning, investigators knew something important. Namiko had not died quietly. There were signs of a struggle, and the person who killed her may have left part of themselves behind. At the scene, police found blood believed to belong not only to Namiko, but also to the attacker. There were footprints. There were traces that suggested the killer had been injured during the attack. The clues pointed toward a female suspect, someone with type B blood, someone around 1.6 meters tall, someone wearing shoes about 24 centimeters in length. It was something, but it was not enough. Police questioned thousands of people. They reportedly interviewed more than 5,000 individuals over the years. They poured enormous resources into the investigation, but no arrest came. The killer had disappeared. And for Satoru Takaba, life split into two parts. Before November 13, 1999, and after. Many people, after something so traumatic, would want to leave that place behind forever. Satoru did leave. He moved out with his young son, but he did not let go of the apartment. He kept renting it. Not for months, not for a few years, for 26 years. He paid the rent on an empty apartment because he believed the crime scene still had something to say. The bloodstains stayed. The room stayed. The evidence stayed. The cost eventually grew to more than 22 million yen, about 145,000 US dollars. But to Satoru, the apartment was not simply a financial burden. It was a promise. While he waited, Satoru refused to let the case fade. He handed out flyers. He spoke to the media. He appealed to the public for information. Every year, around the anniversary of Namiko's murder, he kept her name in the public eye. He also became involved in victim advocacy. At the time of Namiko's murder, Japan had a statute of limitations for murder. That meant that after a certain number of years, even a killer could no longer be prosecuted. For families like Satoru's, that was another kind of injustice. The clock was not only measuring grief. It was measuring the possibility that justice could legal expire. Satoru and other families fought against that, and in 2010, Japan abolished the statute of limitations for murder. That meant Namiko's case did not have to end simply because too much time had passed. Then, in 2024, investigators took another look. By then, the world had changed. Forensic science had changed, and the evidence Satoru preserved was still waiting. Police reopened and reviewed the old case. They went back through names. They reconsidered people connected to the family. They narrowed the list, and they began requesting DNA samples. One of the people they focused on was a woman named Kumiko Yasufuku. She was not a stranger from a dark alley. She was someone from Satoru's past, a former high school classmate. Reports say she had once had feelings for Satoru when they were younger. She had allegedly sent him Valentine's chocolates and a letter expressing affection, but Satoru had rejected her. In 2025, police approached Kumiko Yasufuku. They asked for her DNA. At first, she refused. But in October 2025, 26 years after Namiko Takaba was killed, she submitted a DNA sample. The DNA matched blood left at the crime scene, blood that had been there since 1999, blood that Satoru had spent 26 years trying to protect. On October 31, 2025, Kumiko Yasufuku, then 69 years old, was arrested on suspicion of murder. According to reports, she initially admitted involvement. She reportedly said she had lived with anxiety for years, that every November, as the anniversary of the murder approached, she became troubled and depressed. But after her arrest, she later remained silent. And one question still remained. Why? Why Namiko? Why that day? Why enter the apartment of a woman she reportedly did not really know? In March 2026, after a mental competency evaluation, Kumiko Yasufuku was indicted for murder. The legal process was not yet fully over. A courtroom would still have to deal with the evidence, the confession, the silence, and the question of motive. But for Satoru Takaba, the arrest marked something he had waited 26 years to hear. There was finally a name. Most crime scenes are temporary. They are photographed, measured, processed, released, then life moves on around them. Satoru Takaba seemed to be saying, I am still here. Namika is still remembered. And this room is still waiting. In the end, it was not only technology that mattered. It was preservation. It was pressure. It was memory. Namiko Takaba was only 32 years old. She was a wife, a mother, a woman in her own home. Her life was taken in a place where she should have been safe. For 26 years, her case remained unsolved. But it was never abandoned, because one person kept the light on. One person kept paying the rent. One person kept believing that the truth had not disappeared. It was still there, in the room, in the blood, in the evidence, waiting for the day science could finally read it. For our next episode, we follow the story of Julian Hernandez. At 18, he was preparing for college when a problem with his social security number uncovered an impossible truth. The identity he had grown up with was not his own, and for 13 years, he had been listed as a missing child. Discover the whole story in the next episode of True Crime Origins.